Thank you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at this crowd. You know, we have 5,000 people outside trying to get in. 5,000. So, you know, it's interesting. They said, should we let them outside, let them fill up? They're going to let them fill up that one little corner. We have 5,000. Should we wait for them? I don't think so. All right, they're coming in. Well, thank you very much. Is LSU going to win the big game next year? Yes. Good team. Good team. Good team. Good coach. Good everything. LSU. 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 Good team. Well, I'll tell you what, this is an honor to have this kind of a crowd. So we have a big SEC day coming up pretty soon. You got to get out and vote, folks. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, all over, we get the biggest crowds by far. It's not even close. And a couple of weeks ago, I had this massive crowd. We had 12,000, which is like small for us. And I say us because we're in this together. This country is a mess. It's a mess. And Bernie had 3,000, right? No. And I watched the news, and they said, Bernie Sanders had a massive crowd of 3,000 people. Okay, then they got to my story. Donald Trump spoke today, and we had 9,000 people more than never mentioned the crowd. These people are so dishonest. They are so, you know, it's true. It's true. They are so dishonest. The media, the press, they are the most dishonest people. They don't say it. I wonder if they're going to show this stadium packed. Packed. And this wasn't set up a long time ago. You didn't work on this about a year. We worked on this about, what, 4 days or something? Well, we have a big one coming up. We have first South Carolina. Thank you, darling. Look at these people. We have a big one coming up. Great place, South Carolina. I think we're going to do really well. I mean, people are great. The people are great. This country is all over, no matter where we go. Oklahoma, Dallas, we had 21,000, the Mavericks Arena. No matter where we go, 35,000 in a place called Alabama. Do you know Alabama? Do you know Alabama? Do you know? You do know Alabama, but you know what? Next year you'll like it better, right? Next year. Nah, it's a good place, good people. But we have great people, and they want to see things happen in this country. Because, you know, I say it all the time, you people know about winning. You people know about winning better than anybody. And we don't win. As a country, we don't win anymore. We just don't win anymore. We don't win with China on trade. We don't win with anybody on trade. We don't win at the border. We don't win with ISIS. Can you imagine? We don't win with ISIS. I always said, General Douglas MacArthur, General George Patton, you say knock out ISIS, what would it take? 1 day, 1 week? And you know, we have great people. Look, I love the military. There's nobody that loves the military like I do. I love the military. And we're letting it deplete, and we can't do that. We've never needed it more than we have right now. General Ordiano left recently, and he went on a show. You know, all these people go on shows, our generals. They're always on shows. I don't want them on shows. Do you want them on shows? We want to be unpredictable. And I wish he didn't say it, but look, he's a legitimate person. And he said, you know who he is? And he said he has never seen our country with lack of preparedness like it is right now. What the hell is that? Okay, what the hell is that? So we are going to build our military, and I say this, so big, so strong, so powerful that nobody's going to mess with us. Nobody. Nobody. And we're going to order the right equipment. We're not ordering equipment that they don't want. We're not ordering equipment that the soldiers don't want to use. We're not ordering equipment that our generals don't want to have, because the company making the equipment has lobbyists that have power over the people that are going along with me. Believe me, and that's happening. We're ordering the equipment that we want and that they want. We're going to get the best stuff, not stuff that has political contacts, meaning the company that makes it. And I know more about that than anybody that's ever run for this office, that I can tell you. You know, I talk about, I love you too, darling. Look how beautiful. Now you tell me, is this a normal situation? Another candidate comes. What do they have, 200 people or something? We've got 11,000 and 4,000 outside. Do you believe that? You believe it? 11,000. And they're great people. And you have a lot of great people at home. You have everybody. Sometimes we'll have a protester, and I like protesters, because the only way they turn their cameras around is when there's a protest. You know that. The only way. I tell the story all the time. I love the story. I go home. I say, how was I tonight? To my wife. She goes, were there a lot of people there? I said, didn't they show the crowd? There'll be like a stadium, like in Dallas. They never show the crowd. A stadium so big, packed. And I said, no. She said, no, they just show your face. I said, I don't want to show. They didn't show the crowd. No, I could hear. It was massive. You know, when you hear 21,000 people, it's like not like 200 people, right? So I always thought that, you know, it's special equipment and special cameras, and I always figured maybe the cameras are locked, they can't move, you know, new computerized cameras, $200,000 a piece, and maybe they can't move, and they would never move. And then one day I had a protester, like up in a corner over here, and all of a sudden these cameras, it was like behind the camera, they're bending around like pretzels. The cameras, they move, believe me. And after that, I loved my protesters, because wherever I have a protester, they see, that's the only way they move the cameras. But this is an amazing crowd. But what I say, so I'm going to tell you a story, because it's endemic of so many things that we have in the country. Politicians are all talk, no action. I've done very well with politicians. If you can't get rich with politicians, there's something wrong with you folks, okay? I've done very well, and I've supported everybody. I'm open about it. You know, when I was a business, they said world-class businessmen. Well, you have to get along with everybody. You got to get along with Democrats. You got to get along with Hillary as Secretary of State. True. You got to get along with everybody. I even got along with Harry Reid. Can you imagine? No, can you imagine? But you owe that to yourself, because you're running this big company and you're all over the world, you're all over the United States, and you got to get along with everybody, okay? So I look at it. But I'll tell you this little story. So a friend of mine comes up to me. He's a doctor, big doctor, very good guy, hates what's happening with Obamacare, says you got to repeal it. If you win, you got to repeal it. The doctors, first of all, doctors are leaving the profession now. It's not even good for them. Usually it's good for doctors, because doctors do pretty well. It's really good for the insurance company. That's who it's good. The insurance companies are making a fortune. But he comes up to me, and he's a very big guy, and he jokes, but he sort of wasn't joking. He said, you know, the first time in my life, I have more accountants working for me than I have nurses. And that's because of the complexity. And Obamacare, such a disaster. It's going to be repealed and replaced, by the way, 100%. 100%. They were asking me, one of the reporters yesterday, well, wouldn't you rather just amend it? I said, no, you got to repeal it, because it's so broken. It's so bad. It's going to fall of its own volition. It's going to fall in 17 of its own volition. So he said to me, you got to do something. our country in the negotiation for drugs, meaning prescription drugs and other drugs, stuff to make you better, for Medicare, etc. Our country doesn't negotiate price. They're not allowed to. I said, what do you mean they're not allowed to? He said, Donald, I don't understand it. If you go to a drugstore, any one of you, and go in and get something, our country pays, have you ever heard this? Our country pays about the same price. Even though we're the largest purchaser of drugs in the world, we pay about the same price. So the doctor, who's a great doctor, but he's not into the, I said, I know why. He said, how do you know why? He told me about 2 seconds ago. I said, what do you mean? He goes, how do you know why? I said, because I know politicians. The politicians are taken care of by the drug companies. The politicians say, and they'll come up with a reason like, because it's so important, and because they're prescription in nature, and because of the complexity of the complex of the drug, we cannot negotiate the price. All right, so here's the story, folks. Here's the story. This is just something, and this is a story you haven't heard except from me. Nobody talks about this stuff. Nobody talks about it. So I said to the man, I said, that's because of our politicians. So here's what we do. One of the early things I'll do, we have more important things. As bad as this is, we have bigger things. But because of this man, it was so great that he told me this, because I didn't know this. I've never heard this. It's inconceivable that we don't negotiate that. Because when you have that big an order, you should buy the stuff like for 25% what other people are paying, okay? If we negotiate it properly, or even put in a favored nations clause, meaning anybody that bought that drug or that medicine in the world, worldwide, we get the same price less 10%, okay? Okay? If we did that, this is just one item. This is one item. This is probably peanuts compared to the other stuff I'll find, believe me. If we did that, we will save $300 million. Wrong. We will save $300 billion a year. Think that. 300 billion. No, think of it. Hard to believe. In fact, you say billion. We save 300 billion. One deal. Now, the reason I started with the military, because I've been hearing for years that a lot of times they buy equipment they don't really like because, you know, they like something else, but they're not going to get. I know why. Because these politicians, these bloodsuckers, I call them the bloodsuckers, we got to get rid of them. We got to have, we need sanity. Folks, I don't know what's going to, I'm going to be there. I'm going to do a great job. Hopefully, maybe I get an extra 4 years. Maybe I don't. Somebody said, you know, the media asked me, they said, Mr. Trump, would you commit to 4 years and not run longer? I said, no, but honestly, I said, well, you know, if I'm doing a great job, I feel good. Who the hell knows how I'll feel in 4 years? It's a pretty tough job. But if I'm doing a good job, you know, we have term limits automatically. It's called the people. If the people want a term limit, it's called they vote against you, and that's the end of that. But if I'm doing a good job, because I've seen people, they commit. I'm going to do it for 2 years, and after that in Congress, or I'm going to do it for 4 years, or I'm going to do whatever the term might be. And then they regret it, and they always lose the election. Do you ever notice that? Whenever they say, I'm going to commit. So I'm just telling you, I can do it all in 4 years. But if I'm doing a great job, let me have 4 easier years, okay? Give me 4 easier years. Let me have 4 years of relaxation, because I'll do most of the work in the first 4 years. Well, by that time, we'll have a really strong military. We'll be taking care of our vets better than any vets are taken care of anywhere. Right? So when I relate the story on drug purchases, that goes for many things. It goes to the military, and I've seen it. And I'm sure there are plenty of examples. It doesn't matter. I know that's the way it works because I know the system. As an example, you have people running like a Jeb Bush. The head of his finance committee. Don't fall asleep when I mention the name, please. You know that this guy, did you see it? yesterday he's making a speech in a venue, and the owner came up and said, "I'm sorry, we have to close now. You have to get out," in the middle of his speech. Did you see that? He said, "The venue's closing. You have to leave." And he said, "What are you talking about? You have to leave." That's called respect, right? This is what we have as our president. Boy, oh boy, that's a low-energy individual, folks. And I see he's bringing his brother in now. He tried the mother, who's a very nice lady, I'm sure. But he tried the mother. That didn't work out so good. Now he's bringing in his brother. I won't say anything. I'm going to save that for after his brother makes a statement, because there's plenty to say about what happened, okay? Especially that last 3 months, and especially getting us in that quicksand. You know, we got in quicksand. I was against the war in Iraq. We have to be given credit for vision. I was against the war in Iraq because I said you're going to totally destabilize the Middle East. And that's exactly what happened. The Middle East was destabilized. And that was a horrible call to go in. And it was a horrible call that Obama made when he got out the way he got out, where he announces a date. We are going to be leaving. Did you hear that? We are leaving on boom, boom, X date, 18 months. We're leaving. So the enemy, by the way, they don't want to be killed. They don't want to be, you hear the stories, they want to be killed. They don't want to be killed. They pull back, we leave, and they knock the hell out of everything. And you have ISIS now, and I've been saying for years, bomb the hell out of the oil, right? Bomb the hell out of the oil. And they don't do it. And then you had Paris, and a lot of things changed with Paris. Number one, they started bombing. But how about this? France started bombing the oil, not us. We were weeks later. France. And even us now, listen to this one. This is, I thought they were kidding. I thought they were not serious. We're not really bombing the oil like we're supposed to be because Obama doesn't want to create environmental pollution. Do you believe this? He doesn't want to hurt the carbon footprint, and yet he'll fly Air Force One, a Boeing 747 with very old engines, to Hawaii to play golf and back for a long time. I mean, he was there for what, 2 or 3 weeks? That's a long time. You know, it's funny. If I get elected president, I'm going to be in the White House a lot. I'm not leaving. We have deals to make. Who the hell wants to leave, right? First of all, you're there for a limited period of time, whether it's 4 years or 8 years. I mean, you're there. But more importantly, you have a lot of work to do. I mean, you don't want to be flying. I love golf. It's wonderful. By the way, when he plays golf, you should only play with people that are going to help our country. And that includes congressmen. So you need passages of legislation, which we don't get. So he signs executive orders all over the place. You should only play with people that can help you, including heads of foreign countries like China, so that you can tell them that we're going to make a much better deal than we have right now. And if you told them on a golf course, it's a little bit easier, you know, you can take the lumps out, as I say. But you shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't be playing with your friends. You should be playing with people that can help out the country. That's what you got to do. So if I want you to, you guy's such a nice guy. He's a rough cookie. I like that guy. Raise your hand. Is that you? I like him. I like him. I might even love him. He's a nice guy. He's not my style. Not exactly my thing, but I love this man. I love everyone in this room. You know, we're all here together. We're all here together. Amazing. Amazing. Amazing people. Amazing, amazing people. So I wouldn't leave the White House very much because, you know, like little things like these little trips where they get on, they cost you a fortune every time. They had a case where Obama was doing a television show in California. His wife was perfectly lovely, was doing another show in the same area. I think it was Burbank, California. One took a 747 and the other, like an hour or two later, the other one took a 757. They take two planes. Think of the carbon footprint. I'm not worried about the carbon footprint. I'm worried about the cost. Now, I'm worried about the cost. Why would you have two people flying to the same location, a little time different. Why wouldn't you both go? But here's what you really do. So they were doing a show, right? And each was doing a different show. And I could tell you the name. Should I tell you that? It doesn't matter. But they're each doing a show. Why wouldn't you say to the show, come on to the White House? Wouldn't the show love that? Wouldn't the show love it? Now you don't have to fly. You don't have to go through the process. Let them come, and the show will be much happier than doing it at some crummy studio in Burbank, right? Right? So, I mean, there's so many things. I don't want to get into trivia, but there's so many things. So, you know, those things do add up. I mean, I know what those planes cost. They cost a lot of money. And, you know, those trips cost a lot of money. But more importantly, you got a lot of work to do. We need new trade deals. Our trade deals are a disaster. I have the greatest business people in the world. I got endorsed by Carl Icahn. He's one of the greatest. I have the greatest business people in the world are endorsing me and want to endorse me. They say Trump's the only one that knows about corporate inversion. You know, we are losing many companies. Pfizer is leaving the country. You know, it used to be they'd leave New York and they'd move to Louisiana. That's okay, right? That's okay. But now they leave Louisiana and they're moving to Asia, they're moving to Europe, they're moving all over the world. They don't care. It's a worldwide economy now, and we're losing. Our taxes are too high. Our middle class is getting wiped out. You know, I have a plan. We're lowering our taxes. We're the highest taxed nation in the entire world. We are going to be toward the bottom. Thank you. We're going to be toward the bottom of the pack. Right now, we're the highest, we're the most taxed nation. Do you know companies like Pfizer, in all fairness to Pfizer, for years they've been trying, they have billions of dollars offshore. They have billions of dollars outside of the country. They're trying to get it back. The Democrats and the Republicans agree that it should come back. Everybody agrees. This is the best example. Because, you know, it's one thing, they don't agree on health care. They don't agree on a lot of things, right? We can understand that. They both agree, all parties, almost every politician agrees it's good to let $2.5 trillion come back into the economy, and we use that for building and this and that, right? And in my opinion, the $2.5 trillion is actually $5 trillion, because I don't think the government has any idea what the number is. So there's at least $2.5 trillion outside of our country. Every politician in Washington practically agrees that it should come out. No, but this is for 4 years. They can't make a deal. So companies are now moving out to get their money. Not only lower taxes, they're moving out to get their money. It is disgraceful. And all you need is one leader grabbing these guys by the neck and forcing a deal so that you can get rid of the bureaucracy. That's all you need. Amazing people. Amazing people. Amazing people. And honestly, amazing people, but it's amazing people all over our country. It's amazing people all over. That's why, you know, make America great again. I'll tell you what, the reason I know we can do that is because I see the people. I want Apple computers made not in China. I want them made in this country. We can do that. We can do that. And many other things. I mean, what is it that everything's made outside of our country? I look at what's happening. A friend of mine in the excavation business orders Komatsu tractors from Japan because they devalued the yen. And Caterpillar, look what happened to Caterpillar stock. Caterpillar, which makes great equipment, can't compete with Komatsu because the yen has been so brilliantly and surgically devalued that a friend of mine comes to me and says, I had to order Komatsu. He's like depressed. His whole life he buys Caterpillar. But he can't compete. And we allow these people to do this, and they're killing us. And we have a president that doesn't even understand what devaluation means. We have a president that doesn't, and that's the thing. You know, the Trans-Pacific deal, okay, is a horrible deal. It's a horrible deal. They call it the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You know, we're always partners. We're partners with China, too. We lose $500 billion a year. $500 billion in a trade deficit. Think of it. Who the hell wants to have a partner where you lose $500 billion a year? Why? And we've been losing it for many, many years. And then the heads of China come over. We give them a state dinner at the White House like you've never seen before. We got to get down to negotiation. So what I do is, instead of political hacks, we have hacks. I know some of them. They're political hacks. They get their job. I won't use foul language. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. They're all saying, do it, do it. No, I'm not. They get their jobs. They get their jobs because they give campaign contributions to politicians, because they're very nice to politicians. That's better, right? Instead of, right? She said, a woman here is on my side. You're right. She's saying, don't do it, right? Don't do it. Because they always have even if it's not a bad word, if it's a little bit off, they kill me. So I won't do it. I'll never do it again, actually. And I'll never even copy somebody what they asked me to say, right? But they're political hacks. They know nothing about business. They know nothing about negotiation. We have the greatest business people in the world, and we don't use them, and we don't use them. And they will do it for free. They'll do it for nothing. They'll do it for nothing. They will go out. They will make deals. If I told Carl Icahn, Carl, do me a favor, structure a new deal with China on trade. They're killing us. They come in, they send their stuff in, no tax, no nothing. We don't know what's happening. Try selling something in China. I have friends that are in the manufacturing business. They can't, and they're better products than what China has. They can't get their product into China. And when they do, the tax is massive. They call it a tariff. And it's massive, okay? It's a joke. I have a friend, he bought, this is sort of a crazy thing, but he bought an airplane. And then he sold his airplane. And he bought another one. I said, how did you make such a good deal? Smart guy. He said, because China was made here. The guy that bought it is from China. The tax to bring the plane back into China is so massive. It's so high. Just think of this. The tax to bring it into China is so high that the guy couldn't pay the tax. It was too much. And yet we just take their stuff like a bunch of dummies. So they devalue their currency. We have people that don't understand it. And let me tell you the other thing. We have all the power. They don't have the power we have, because we have rebuilt China and other countries. They are by far the biggest abuser because they're the biggest. Listen to that beautiful young child. Where is that voice? That young voice. Wow. That is so nice. To have children screaming, we want Trump, that's very nice. Isn't that right? Isn't that nice? Thank you. So, you know, I'm a free trader. I believe in free trade. But we have to have smart trade. We can't be the dummies anymore. We can't make deals like the deal we made with Iran, where we give them $150 billion, we get nothing. And then they treat our sailors like hell. How about what they did to those 10 sailors? And the stuff came out today that it was a lot uglier than people thought. You saw that, right? That was a lot uglier than people thought. And these are people, and frankly, if those 10 young, wonderful sailors, okay, who were put in a begging position with their hands high, guns to their head, and a rough cookie with a rough voice screaming at them, and they were scared stiff, okay? If that money wasn't coming 2 days later, those sailors would be there forever. Unless Trump were president, they wouldn't be there very long. I'll tell you right now. That I can tell you. They wouldn't be there very long. So we have so many things to do. When I see the Iran deal, though, I look at it. I say, who would negotiate a deal like this? So it's Secretary Kerry, who I think is grossly incompetent. I mean, look. We're making a deal. First of all, The Art of the Deal. The Art of the Deal. One of, I guess, the greatest selling business book of all time. So we're making a deal. Did you ever hear of not walking? I mean, he never walked. He was being abused. They were screaming at him from Iran. They were dancing into the streets. They're saying we're all stupid. What a deal. The deal hasn't been made. If somebody did that to me and the deal hasn't been made, I'm out of here. I'd be embarrassed to make the deal. They self-inspect. Self-inspect. Their big area, the most important area. No, you cannot go through. We self-inspect. And they have 24 days, but the 24 days on other sections that are less severe. The 24 days, the clock doesn't start ticking until you go through a whole process. That could be another 3 months. So by the time they go, they could make all the nuclear weapons they want. Then they sweep it up. They paint the floor battleship gray. They say, look, we didn't do anything. So what happens? But how about the self-inspection? You know, Obama calls the head of Iran the supreme leader. He said, the supreme leader, I'm never calling him the supreme leader. He will never, ever, ever be called the supreme leader by Trump. That I can tell you. Never. He goes, the supreme leader, I've spoken to him today, and he said the following. I say, what is he talking about? The supreme leader said nasty things about us, right? If that ever happened, you walk. And I kept waiting for him to walk. I almost was going to call him. I say, walk, you'll look great. But I didn't want to make him look great. But actually, I would have done it for a different reason. This is very important. Nuclear is a whole different ballgame. Very important, right? And we could have had a great deal. The first thing that should have happened is they walk in 4 years ago, and they say, we want our prisoners back. They're going to say no, and you know the story. You've heard this. But you walk in. You say, got to have our prisoners back. You don't want them. We need them. It's going to make a better deal. You're going to do better. We got to have them back. And they're going to say no, and then we leave. And then we ratchet up the sanctions by twice, 3 times. I don't care. As much as you want. And and I say it all the time, within 24 to 48 hours, you will have a phone call saying you can have your prisoners, right? And they'll leave. The second they land on our soil, we have our prisoners. We now have, first of all, they would have been here 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, this has been forever. Do you ever see a deal take so long? And it's not. They asked me, the press said, how long should that deal have taken to make? I said, about a day. Maybe a week if you at the outset. Anything longer than that's a bad deal. They just kept saying no, and we never walked. They just kept saying no. Then second, okay, now we have our prisoners. Then I go in and say, folks, meaning me through a person. I'd like to do it myself, actually, because this way I know it gets done right. But, no, it's true. No, you got to, some things you got to do. Some things you got to do yourself. Like, for instance, I backed John McCain, a nice guy. I backed John McCain. He lost, okay. And I understood that because things were going so badly. It would have been hard. It would have been hard. You know, we had a little thing like a crash. We had a little thing like bad news. A lot of bad things were happening. It wasn't his fault. He lost, but I backed John McCain. Then I backed Mitt Romney, and he should have won. We had a failed president. No, he should have. Whether we like it or not, whether he's a nice person or not, he is a nice person. But he should have won. Mitt Romney should have won. We had a failed president. We had a failing country. Not as bad as now, despite that phony rate. You see what's happening with the stock market? We're in a bubble, folks. Watch what happens. Remember what I've been saying. We're totally reliant on Asia and different countries. Watch what happens. It's going to be not pretty. We're in a big, fat, beautiful bubble. Okay? You know that. So now what happens is I back Mitt Romney, endorsed him, said do it. And, I was very busy. I would have done it, but frankly, I didn't because I was leading in the polls. Remember the day that I did it? I was like leading or right up there in the polls, and I hadn't even announced. And I didn't announce. I never did this before. Running for president, let me tell you, it takes guts. It takes guts. Not easy. It's not easy. Not easy. So I backed McCain and I backed Romney. McCain lost. Romney lost. I said, damn it, the next time I'm just going to do it myself, right? Right? Now, look, all those seats are filled up. Sorry you missed a lot of it, but we're not going to do it again, but that's okay. I hope you enjoyed it. They got to get in line faster next time. They just told me we have 4,000 people standing. Can you imagine, after all of this, 4,000 people standing outside? And you know what? That's not about me. I'm a messenger. I think I'm a good messenger, actually. But I'm really, I'm a messenger. It's a message for common sense. It's a message that we want to win. We just want to win. We just want to win. And I say it. You know, it can't be said any simpler. I went to Ivy League schools, and somebody said, He speaks plainly. I don't speak plainly. I have like a very, very high aptitude and intelligence, and I have an amazing vocabulary. But sometimes it is true. I don't care how smart you are. When you're dealing with leadership, and there are certain words to describe it, there's just no better word than the word stupid, right? It's true. It's true. I mean, it's stupid, it's incompetent. I mean, unless there's something that we all don't know about, because sometimes some of these deals, it's almost like, how could they do it? How could they do it? I mean, more respect is paid to Iran than is paid to Israel. More respect. It is true. It is true. More respect is paid to some of these countries than paid to our best allies. So you say to yourself, what the hell is going on? What's going on? Why are we doing this? Why didn't we walk from the table? We could have made a much better deal if we walked. And by the way, the money, I would have gone in right after we land. I would have gone in, meaning my people, meaning me. I'd say, come to the White House, folks. I want to get $150 billion. That's worth it. I would have said, you know, I tell this story. Some people are like this. My father was a terrific guy, good negotiator. He said, son, you're too tough. You're too rough. You got to take the lumps out. You got to take the lumps out. I said, what do you mean, Pop? What do you mean, Pop? He said, you're too tough. You got to take the lumps out. Nice and easy. You get the same thing. Take the lumps out. So in the old days, I would have said, we're not giving you the 150. You're not going to get 150 billion. I'm sitting next to these killers. You know, they're all great negotiators, tough guys. They're tough guys. Look at what they did to us with Kerry and Obama. Look at the horror show. So I'm sitting. So my father says, take the lumps out. So I'd say it this way. I'm sorry. We have a country that owes $19 trillion. No, they don't even know what $1 trillion is. It's so much. It owes $19 trillion. The Republicans just signed a deal where the budget is just a disaster. You know that. Under the deal, the migration is allowed to come in. Illegal immigrants are allowed to come in. Obamacare is refunded, right? That's what happened. The Republicans approved it, folks, and I'm a Republican. I'm more disappointed in them because you know what? We know where the Democrats are coming from, but the Republicans are supposed to be fighting for us, and they're not. So I'd say, take the lumps out. I'd say, so we have a country, it's very sad. To these 6 killers that are sitting. The one guy, I watched him interviewed on Charlie Rose, and I said, man, I was going to say, don't negotiate against this guy. Too smart for Kerry. We need a better guy. We need a better guy. I can give you many. We need a better guy. But what happens, so I'd say, look, we're $19 trillion in debt. We have no money. We're bust. We have no money. I'm sorry. We can't give you the $150 billion. They'll go crazy. But you know what? That's better than saying we're not giving. It's nice and easy. We owe $19 trillion. We're a debtor nation. We've been run by incompetent politicians for too long. We're going to have another $2 trillion because of this new budget. So we're going to be at $21 trillion. Fellas, I'm sorry, we just don't have the money. See, that's my father taught me that, okay? Now they can't be that angry. They'll be angry, but like 80% of what the other, right? You know that. So they'll get angry, and they'll leave, and we'll leave, and then we'll ratchet up again, and they'll bring it back. We just saved $150 billion, guaranteed, as sure as you're sitting there. But we don't have anybody that can do that. We negotiate for Sergeant Bergdahl, a traitor, a liar. No, think of it. You got Sergeant Bergdahl, who's a traitor, a no-good traitor, right? So he goes out, he thinks it's wonderful. Oh, these are wonderful people. Boy, he went out there, he doesn't think they're so wonderful anymore. They didn't treat him so hot, right? He doesn't, I don't think he'd think they're so wonderful anymore. I'd love to give him back, but I don't think he'd love to go. I'd give him back even if he didn't want to go. I'd just drop him. Bing. Boom. 6 young, wonderful military, 6 young, wonderful soldiers were killed going out and looking for him. Nobody brings that up. I've seen the parents. 6 beautiful young people were killed looking for Sergeant Bergdahl, right? So And we knew that he was a traitor because we had a general and a colonel interviewing all of the people that he worked with. We knew exactly what happened. We made the deal anyway. So we get Bergdahl. They get 5 of the greatest killers that they've wanted and coveted for 9 years. And now they're back on the battlefield, or soon to be on the battlefield, trying to kill everybody, including all of us. Okay, folks? That's the kind of deals we make. And those deals aren't going to be made anymore. We're going to be respected. We're going to be respected. And by the way, before I have to do this. All of us, we had a tremendous victory recently in New Hampshire. Tremendous. The people of New Hampshire turned out in record numbers, highest ever. We had a number, I mean, even the pundits that hate me said, that's amazing. We won every single category. We won with men. We won with women. We won with rich. We won with less than rich. We won with people that all age groups. We won every single category. We got 35 or 36% of the vote with all these people running. And you know, I laugh. They talk about the establishment. The establishment, you know, they're trying to pick their establishment. You can have the establishment. Look, they're trying to pick. And so they want to pick the establishment. So they say, well, if Bush, who's a stiff, gets out, he's got a few points. By the way, you know what Bush did? Bush spent $40 million in New Hampshire. He was number 1. I spent $3 million. So Bush came in close to the bottom. I came in number 1 by a lot, and I spent the least money. I spent the least money. No, I actually said, how do you spend $40 million? He spent $40 million, and he came in toward the bottom, 4th or 5th. Think of it. Wouldn't it be nice if our country could do things where we spend the least and we're the best? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Actually, you want to know the truth? It's sad. It's sad. It's all sad. It's all sad. Education. We spend the most in the world, by far. By a fact. Common Core is dead. We're going to kill Common Core. Common Core. We have to educate our children locally. You can't do it through Washington. Common Core is dead. That'll be, well, Common Core fits with this. So with Common Core, we spend per pupil by far the most in the world. The second place doesn't even exist. It's so far down the line. So you have countries like Sweden, Norway, Denmark, China. These are supposed to be the best countries for education. We're number 30. So we spend the most by far, and we're at the bottom of the pack. We have third world countries that have better educational systems than we do. We have to get rid of Common Core fast. We got to go local. And you know, honestly, and I'm not even saying this for the money because education is so important, but we'll spend less money and we're going to have much better education. And you watch, we'll start creeping up in that pack. We'll start creeping up. You watch what's going to happen. You watch. I've seen it. By the way, I want to thank a friend of yours, Willie Robertson of Duck Dynasty. Great guy. Great guy. So Willie Robertson, great guy. He's a friend of my son, Don. That's interesting. Fifth Avenue and over here, and they love each other. Isn't that great? And they go hunting. But Willie endorsed us, and very strong endorsement. And we have great endorsements. Sarah Palin endorsed us so strong. We love Sarah. Jerry Falwell Jr. from Liberty University, who's phenomenal. He endorsed us, and he is a phenomenal guy. What an amazing guy. So we've had fantastic. Sheriff Joe endorsed me. Sheriff Joe. One thing you know, I said, Sheriff, that's an honor, because the one thing we know if Sheriff Joe Arpaio endorses Trump, we have the strongest border plan. Do we agree? There's no games. There's no games. So we have, and so many more. I mean, the problem is I'm leaving some out that I have to because there's too many. We've had great endorsements, but I'll tell you what, we have just amazing people, but I did have to mention Willie because I thought you people might like Willie, you know. So, a couple of more things that we have to talk about. Second Amendment is being chipped away. It's being chipped away. Now they're looking at bullets. Maybe we can restrict bullets. We'll restrict magazines. We'll restrict. Nobody is stronger on this. You know, I'll tell you what's tough. I'll tell you what's tough. So you've seen me, and you've seen me for years, and you know what my stance is. Whether it's bombing the oil, you know, now they say, well, Trump didn't have the idea. And it was years before. Actually, these people verified it for me. Every once in a while, the press is good. But Second Amendment. Somebody said, well, Trump doesn't like the Second Amendment. I like the Second Amendment more than anybody that's ever run for office, frankly. You know, if we had the Second Amendment, in California, when the two young radicalized people who got married, oh, wonderful. If we had the Second Amendment where bullets were flying in the other direction, right? Where we had bullets not just going one way, you know, tough stuff. They had 14 people killed. 14 people killed, lots of people injured very badly. Their lives will never be the same. But we had 14 people. And these are two people who were given wedding ceremonies by the people they killed. You say, what's going on here? There's hatred going on. There's hatred. You know what I did? And look, we've got to figure radical Islamic terrorism. We got a problem. We've got a problem. And we damn well better figure out what the problem is. We better figure out what the problem is. You know, on June 16th, when I announced that I was running for president, and I came down the escalator, I just took a deep breath, because you know, nothing easy. And they had press, it looked like the Academy Awards down in Trump Tower. You never saw so much. And I said, and I brought up for the first time that anyone's heard it practically, illegal immigration. And I took heat, and then they find out I'm right, and then everybody comes. And I said, we got to build a wall, and everybody said, oh, that's crazy, that's crazy. We will build a wall. We will build a wall. We will build a wall. Oh, we're going to build a wall, all right. Who's going to pay for the wall? Mexico. They'll pay. You know why they'll pay? Again, these politicians are like sounding boards. Donald, what do you mean? These are people I run against. What do you mean by Mexico? They'll never pay for it. Of course they will. If I talk to them, I guarantee with them they'll never pay. Because they don't know how to talk. But the trade deficit of Mexico, you know, Ford is building a big plant, Nabisco moved this plant from Chicago. They're moving it to Mexico. Okay? All of these things. No. Think of it. The trade deficit with Mexico is massive. They're making a fortune. The wall is peanuts. It's peanuts compared to what we're talking about. And I'm not even talking about all the drugs that Mexico allows to come over the border, that they allowed to come over. I'm not even including that. That's not included. One of the reasons I won New Hampshire by so much, they have an unbelievable heroin problem. Hard to believe. New Hampshire's so beautiful. The country's so beautiful with the trees and the snow. Although I said, please don't let it snow on election day, please. I didn't want to take a chance, and it didn't. My prayers were answered, okay? I did. No, I didn't want it to snow. We didn't want to take it, and it was great. But they have a tremendous heroin problem. Comes over the border. I'm not even talking about that. Hundreds of billions of dollars in drugs. Did you ever see it? I talk about they built a ramp, and the ramp goes over the little wall they have and down. So they have these trucks going over the ramp down, loaded up with drugs. Then they come back with cash. So we get the drugs, and they get the cash. Is that good? Is that good? That's not the way it's going to be anymore, folks. And we're going to tell Mexico, you got to stop this crap that's going on. You got to stop it. Because they could, you know what? They're tough. They can stop it if they want it. They can stop it if they want it. They can stop it like that. They're rough. I had a friend, he was over in Mexico. He overstayed by 2 days with his family, and he gets a knock at his door. And it's the police. They want to know why he's staying an extra 2 days. That doesn't happen here. Here people stay 5 years longer, 10 years, 20 years, 30. Nobody ever talks to them. Nobody talks to them. So the president of Mexico, or previous president, said, how dare Donald Trump said, build a wall. We won't pay for the wall, and I want you to tell that to Mr. Trump. So the press calls up and they said, Mr. Trump, the president or previous president said they will never pay for the wall. Never going to pay for the wall. Do you have a comment? I said, yes, tell him that the wall just got 10 feet taller. Okay, tell him that. Tell him. True. So, I won't talk about my opponents. There's not much to talk about. You know, we're not, honestly. I will say this. Here's what I do want you to do. So, they have hundreds of millions of dollars that they got, all from the special interests. You saw the last debate, right? Right? Everybody said I won the last debate. Did I win it? So who knows? Who knows? I know that Marco Rubio did not win it. Do we agree? That's what. And I only say that because he took some nasty things about us today. You know, I wouldn't have said it. You know, if they would, like poor Jeb, he spent $20 million on negative ads. If he didn't do that, I wouldn't be talking badly about him. You know? And he's so off that all he has to do is stop and I'll leave him alone. He's like a child. Cruz today took an ad that's so false. It's so false. And you know, it's difficult because I'm a legitimate person. When I see these ads, remember, these ads are paid for by the special interest, the lobbyists, and the donors. They're not paid for by these guys. They have hundreds of millions of dollars, and they take these ads, and they're vicious, and they say anything. They say anything. I just hope you don't believe the crap, because it's all crap, okay? They're lies. I mean, they're lies. They talk about eminent domain. Without eminent domain, you wouldn't have a road. Without eminent domain, you wouldn't have hospitals. You wouldn't have anything. By the way, without eminent domain, you wouldn't have the Keystone Pipeline. You know, all these guys that are about, oh, Donald Trump and eminent domain. You look at the prospectus for the Keystone Pipeline, and I'll approve it. The difference is I'll approve it 100%. But what are we going to ask for? If we're approving it, and we've got to use eminent domain, that thing wouldn't go 10 feet without eminent domain. And remember this about eminent domain. You become rich with eminent domain. If they take a corner of your property for a pipeline or a highway or something, which they could never build without it, they pay you the market value of your property. And if you're smart, you get yourself a nice lawyer, and you get 2 or 3 times what it's worth. You're dealing with the government. But these guys talk. I mean, they're so naive. Eminent domain. But every one of the guys that are against me, and I don't love eminent domain. You know, I said eminent domain, you need it. You wouldn't have a highway. You wouldn't have a road. You wouldn't have an airport. You wouldn't have anything. I mean, what do? You're building a highway, and then somebody has a corner of their yard that's in the midst of the highway. What are you going to do? Say, oh, it's okay, we'll build it when you sell your house in 30 years. What the hell are you going to do? So you need eminent domain, right? We don't love it. But you know what? It's necessary. And you can make a lot of money. It's called a taking. They take, but they pay you. You know, the word a taking sounds rough, and I'm really good at real estate. It's a taking. I'll recommend anybody having eminent domain on their house or anything, because I will make you so much money. I'll give you a lawyer who's so good. You will be paid so much money. But here's the thing. So all these guys, you know, the conservatives, I'm a conservative person. Bush says, I do not believe he's a true conservative. These people are stupid. So here's the thing. He always says the same thing. I do not believe he's a true conservative. You know what? In a way, I don't even care about labels. I'm a guy with common sense that's going to make us a fortune. We're going to get rid of the debt. People. But all of these people, every single one of these people want the Keystone Pipeline, right? These so-called conservative people, okay. And I like the Keystone Pipeline. I never want to be in a position where we need OPEC for anything. I take the oil myself, frankly. But I never want, I mean, honestly, what we have allowed for many years OPEC to get away with is insane. They wouldn't even have been there They wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for us protecting them. We protect them for nothing. Saudi Arabia, before the oil went down, was making $1 billion a day, and we pay rent for our military bases to protect them. They pay us very little compared to what it costs. And every time somebody moves at Saudi Arabia, we bring out the ship. They can pay us. I have a lot of friends from Saudi Arabia. They're so rich. They don't know what to do with their money. They can pay us. They can pay us. South Korea, I love South Korea. I have buildings in South Korea. South Korea is wonderful. Every time you order your television sets, your washing machines, anything. I order thousands of television sets a year. They all come from LG, Samsung. They're all from South Korea. They make a fortune. We have 28,000 soldiers on the line. In North Korea, you have the maniac, right? Now, why isn't South Korea paying us substantial money to protect them? Why should we lose? And then we have this great military budget, right? Many times, you hear all the time. Well, most of it is we're protecting everybody else, and we can't protect ourselves. We are protecting, think of this, 28,000 soldiers. We are protecting South Korea. We're protecting Japan. We're protecting Germany. Think of Japan. So we have a treaty with Japan. If we get attacked, they don't have to do anything. They can watch us on television, okay? They don't have to do anything. If they got attacked, we start World War III. We have to protect Japan, but they don't have to protect us. Who makes these deals? Who makes these deals? I love Japan. I do business with Japan, everything. But who makes these deals? So, we need a few things. We need a few things. And one of the things we need some unpredictability. You need Trump. That's right. Yeah. We need unpredictability. We're so predictable. We go into war, we say, well, we're going to attack them here, and then we're sending 50 soldiers. Remember that 90 days ago? We're sending 50 soldiers to Iraq. Why do we have to say that? Now these 50 young soldiers have a target on their back. He needs it for publicity. I don't know why he says it. I guarantee you, General George Patton, General MacArthur, they didn't say they're sending, first of all, it wouldn't be 50. Be more, and they would have cleared up this problem. We wouldn't be fighting for the rest of our lives. We would not have been over there for 15 years, that I can tell you. 15 days, maybe, not 15 years. So, I just want to leave you with this. So important, SEC Day, so important that you get out and vote. You got to get out and vote. Because we truly have a movement going on. It's one of the most amazing. It's the cover of Time magazine. Last week, me on the cover talking to an incredible group of people. It is something that is so special. It's a movement, but it's not a movement if we don't win. I will do a phenomenal job. It's not a job I want to do. We're going to do it. We're going to make America great again. We're going to win, win, win. And I love you all. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.